Hey, my name is Damianos. This is Left the Abyss. So as this remarkably daunting election approaches and Biden's lead becomes more and more marginal, it is becoming more apparent that Biden's run is not going very well. What could be done to convince more people to back his run? The incumbent candidate, Donald Trump, is a fascist. He has horribly mishandled and really just brushed off the pandemic we're facing. Under his watch, the country is facing out-of-control disease and crippling economic disaster verging on depression. His strategy for re-election can no longer include attempting to win over regular people with coy populist bait. He is leaning hard into stoking the flames of the culture war and rallying and radicalizing his base that stuck around for the worst reasons. He is no longer running a campaign which claims to be for anybody. He is running a campaign that is against the left. People are not happy with the state of the country, or the current president, and his reaction to disaster. Trump is not as popular anymore, so then how is it that Biden can't seem to keep a solid lead? You'd think that all you'd have to do is not be Trump. Well, that's the problem. That is all that Biden is offering anybody who's not like Trump. Pew Research poll discovered that 56% of Biden supporters support him because he is not Trump. The left is figuring out what to do in a situation where you have a neoliberal corporatist as the only alternative to Trump's neo-fascism. It seems like we are leaning toward voting for Biden rather than a third party or abstinence on the left. But it's also very apparent that us on the left are very, very displeased about feeling like they must vote for Biden. Those who aggressively insist upon voting for Biden will also be the first to admit that he is an awful, irredeemable candidate who is going to do nothing for you. This is the sentiment on the left. Now, the left is certainly not going to vote for Trump. He is a very serious threat beyond the pale. But getting others on the left to vote for a neoliberal corporatist is a big ask. Biden really is relying on the people on the left who are sucking it up and voting because Biden is not Trump. They say they will fight Biden the moment he gets to the office, and every day after, fervently. But they know he is not a strong candidate. They know he is weak. He offers nothing. He is a pathetic candidate, and it's so blatantly obvious. The more he speaks, the less people like him. He is a vacuous corporate shell. Now they have to convince the people who decide they will never vote for a candidate like Joe Biden that they must do so. Many resort to voter shaming. If you don't vote Biden, you vote Trump, and that makes you evil, so fuck you. That doesn't work. But it's the reflex of the unenthusiastic Biden voter. Many get turned off from voting for him because they only get attacked for it rather than given any arguments. I have heard some very interesting reasons to vote for Biden, such as that it will bench a Democrat with the problem he cannot solve and expose the incompetence of the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party, or that if there's less oppressive rule, the left will be less distracted by fighting all the symptoms and be able to organize more efficiently against the cause. Valid points. I've even heard an accelerationist one. The vast majority of Democrat votes are going to be counted by mail, but they are still leaving the voting booths open for the Republican pandemic truthers. It is projected that if Biden wins, it will be after Trump gets projected to win, after the in-person votes are counted. Trump will claim victory early, and when defeated, there would be a huge unrest. Maybe I just convinced you not to vote for Biden. The problem with Biden's campaign is that he's literally relying on leftists to shame other leftists hard enough to get their vote. The right is already organized around their guy. We are reluctant and arguing still. This reluctance, ambivalence, and distaste for our candidate is the crippling sickness of his campaign. There is no excitement about Biden. People advertise his campaign and promote him by disclaiming how regretful they are that they have to vote for him. They shit-talk the dude while trying to get people to vote for him. Not even his voters have anything positive to say about him at all. He has an impressively severe lack of enthusiasm around his campaign. So is it any wonder that he can't seem to hold on to a promising lead? He is without a doubt doing worse than Hillary was by now, and he's taking her strategy of avoiding the Rust Belt too. He seems bent on ensuring he fails. It almost feels like he's just bitter that the establishment is keeping him propped up and not letting him just take naps until he dies. His lead slips daily. Everyone figured Hillary was a shoo-in, but with Biden, People are really wondering already. So what can the left do to help get Biden elected? Ha! Nothing! The left has done every single thing that it could have possibly done to get Biden elected. Every non-Biden voter has gotten their ridicule or heard every argument. The lead still diminishes. That is because the only way for Biden to win is for the only person who can influence any non-Biden voter to vote for him, Joe Biden. Joe Biden must make one promise, one offer, any policy that people are clamoring for, anything at all. He absolutely must make a case for himself. He is the candidate. He is supposed to earn your vote, and he hasn't. His only promises were to veto universal health care and protect the 1%. He's hell-bent on not offering you anything, but if he would just offer one single thing to the left base, his numbers would absolutely explode. If he even says he'll take a look at universal health care, he'd explode. Imagine if legalization of marijuana was on his platform. Imagine if he promised a halt on evictions or a UBI. If he gave even one concession, the entire left would unanimously yell fine. But he hasn't. Leftists, this campaign is not on you to prop up. You do not have the power to make this flaccid and worthless dud seem appealing, because he is utterly unappealing. At this point, it really is up to the man himself to make his case. He's really not good at it, but I hope when Trump takes advantage of the election he's being handed, that you will realize that Biden lost because Biden sucked. There will always be people who will not vote for a candidate who does not support a single issue that they care about on principle. Those people just need one policy, but Biden will not budge. So just remember whose duty it was to budge. Remember who are supposed to be represented, and who is supposed to represent. Look, I hope that Biden wins. I am very sick of Trump by now. I can't imagine another 4 years of Trump going even harder. If you're voting for Biden begrudgingly, good on you. I don't even mind if you try to get others to vote for him, but your tactics are not effective. The voter shaming just does not win over the millions of non-voters. And they're not all leftists. Vote for Biden or vote in some other way. It does not matter what I tell you to do or not do. I have no reason to shame people for making thought-out decisions this year on how to vote. The only person who will really affect the election at this point is Biden. We have a race on our hands only because people know that a society under Biden is not one that will get any better than today. If you think that Biden won't treat the protests exactly like Trump, you should listen to his speeches. He is a lesser evil. But people were done voting for that in 2016. The Democratic Party is a failure and is primarily to blame for Trump, and will be again. You can shame voters all day, but in the end there is a whole establishment party responsible that must be defeated, either from within or from without. The focus of the left should be to fight the establishment together. They are the enemy, and they are to blame. Do not forget who we're fighting. If you say you're going to fight Biden tooth and nail after you vote him in, start focusing the fight on the Democratic Party now. In the end, the voters will need to be earned. This has been Left the Abyss. Please comment, like, share, and as always, thank you for watching Left the Abyss, mortals. Subscribe. Corn Pop.